Good morning, good day, Tracy Brown here. I'm just going to reintroduce myself a little bit because I haven't done that in a while, and I know I've noticed some new people watching the video. So for those who don't know me, my name is Tracy Brown. I'm a somatic nutrition therapist, a dietitian, eating disorder and attuned eating specialist, and I just offer these videos as another source of hope and instruction and teaching and love in the midst of all the difficulties that come up sometimes when we're trying to break free from chronic worry about food and weight and all those kind of things. So that's why I'm here. I'm glad that you're here, and let's get started. So I want to talk a little bit more about the journey because, well, because of this age now. I mean, again, when I was in recovery, there was nobody else to compare things to not too many questions to ask people about. They were kind of just like maybe the people you were very intimate with, like let's say your dietitian, your therapist, or maybe a close friend, or maybe the aunt of somebody else who once had an eating disorder, or if you were lucky, maybe some other person that you got to hang out with that ate fairly intuitively. And so there weren't a lot of people to kind of get some just help around, So, and when I say help, not just the help of coaching you through some of your blind spots or some deep struggles, but just be able to know what to expect. So this video is a little bit of how I talk to my clients around expectancy, and if you start this journey, what you're going to expect. So first thing I want to talk to you about is when you, let's say that you're restricting and you start eating more food. If you are struggling with emotional eating or binge eating, and you're really working on trying to find your edges with where your fullness lies, when eating when you're actually hungry, knowing the difference, the first step really is that awareness. Okay, I'm going to actually start to see my food as something that I need to do to be part of, part of that experience versus just only eating from my head what I should or shouldn't be doing. And so that's where you're mostly starting from, that place of just knowing today, oh, I'm going to this meal with the intent of how am I providing for myself versus depriving, or just providing no matter what end of the spectrum you're coming from. So those first 3 months, I'm going to talk about the first 3 months, are going to feel like you're on a new planet speaking and learning a new language, and you're going to have one day that you might feel like one meal is just, oh my gosh, this was so awesome, and the next meal feel like I'm messing up, what am I doing, I'm out of control again, what happened? Or you might have a whole day like that or a whole week like that. But then you find your grounding again. Hopefully you have people around you that are supportive, whether it's professional or not, that you're working through. You're going to be like this. It's going to be zigzaggy up and down depending on the day and the week. And so what you expect to be working on is learning what you like to eat, questioning what do I actually like to eat versus what my head says I should do. You are going to be noticing where you're catching yourself languaging food and body in a negative way. You're going to be, just constantly checking yourself, and it's going to feel sometimes tiring and like a lot of work, because honestly it is. The first 3 months are just, you're going to have two neural pathways in your brain. One of them is going to be towards the old way, and one of them is going to be trying to build and take one step at a time towards the new way, which is providing, which is checking in, which is compassion, which is checking your judgment, which is checking your fears about weight, and checking. I mean, and a lot of times the first 3 months people aren't doing a lot of this, but I always talk about the idea of seeing where you have some weight prejudice and really working through that. You don't get free if you don't do that work. But anyway, that's really important. And so going on to the next 6 months, I think to the 6 months to the full year is you're refining all these things. You're working on true full permission versus faux permission. You're working on making sure you're truly eating enough. You're working on your disappointments when something that was really good and you get full and you don't want to stop. You're working through the sadness of that. You're working through your grieving of letting go of all the promises that dieting once promised you. You're grieving the thin fantasy. I mean, there's so many things that you're grieving. And you're starting to recognize that lots of feelings are coming up that you can't run from anymore, or you can't stuff down anymore if you want to be free. So that's kind of like the 6th through the first year. And after that, you are protecting. You are being loving but mama bear protective of your recovery, because the world is going to try to pull you back into thinking that like maybe what you're doing is too radical, or okay, that's fun and all and great, but what about your health? That kind of stuff. And you may have had some struggles with that in the first year as well, but I think it gets louder sometimes once the distraction of constantly not counting, calculating is happening. So there's that second period, I think. So the first through second year, your job is really going to be about protecting that baby recovery, or that baby intuitive eating, and recognizing you're still going to have some things that trigger you that maybe weren't as triggering but still do, or you're going to have some things that really surprise you. And your job is just to be compassionate, like, oh, I didn't recognize that was a thing for me, but I think it is. And I know through how I'm interacting with my food. I know through, I wasn't body bashing myself. I've been feeling pretty good. And where did that come from? Now you're hitting the onion and the layers are peeling. And that 1 through 3 years there is you're peeling through the layers of where, now that maybe your perfectionism is gone with your food, or you've let go of compulsive exercise and now you're not moving, you're trying to figure out your way, like, how do I move again in a way that's not compulsive? Because I don't know what I like to do. I don't know who I am, or I don't know who as much I am without the binging, or food being as special, or whatever. So, those preceding, I think, 1, 2, and even 3 years, you're really getting closer and closer to the core of all this stuff. And past that, I think what starts to happen is like every day just feels freer and freer, and you notice more clearly the world in which we live in that is so embedded with like fear and non-trust, and you feel less frustrated about that not everybody's on the same page as you are, and you start to feel more compassionate, especially as the years go by. It's like, I see people dieting or body bashing, or even challenging my language around fat phobia. I don't feel that like personally hurt or insulted or whatever, or like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. I mean, I'm able to look at like, was my languaging not as compassionate, or was that just their stuff? I'm not sure. So I can go inward and look at that, or go outward and get some feedback from somebody else. Hey, did I miss something? Is there more for me to learn? Is this my something showing here? We get less and less and less feeling like, oh, I'm so bad that I did something wrong, or like maybe I kind of overstepped and was a little less compassionate and I can make amends or whatever, or it's like, no, that's not my stuff. I'm okay. And so that's what starts to happen as the years go by. So I hope this little insight video was helpful. There's so much I can say, and because I'm trying to keep these videos under 10 minutes, that way you don't lose interest. I'm trying to keep these short, but just as a teaching and an encouragement to you. And I would love to hear from you all. Just one phrase or one sentence that you feel like, maybe what year you're at in this and what you're working through. Or there's something I didn't address, and I will be happy to go into a little bit deeper into it in another video, or just interact with you here. I'm happy to do that. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.